Welcome to another edition of Vigorously with me, Val Kleinhans, content creator and business baddie. Morgan Markowski is here in the building. I am thrilled to have you. This has been we've been talking on Instagram. I've been waiting for this. It's a treat. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you so much. And I love the introduction. I feel very special. So I'm really excited to chat today.
Yeah, period. I mean, that's what you are. So really tell the listeners about your business and what you do for anybody that doesn't know.
Yeah, for sure. I am a creator brand educator. I kind of call myself like a brand partner because I'm kind of in the coaching space for service providers, like creative service providers, like copywriters, social media managers,
Mhm.
designers, everybody under the sun. So what I do is help them transition their done for you time for money skills and services into done with you offers in my group program Soft Pivot. And I'm also helping them essentially step into their own journey of becoming a B2B creator brand. So a lot that we do cover and work on is their personal brand, their content, marketing, messaging, and offers. And it's so fun. Like I feel like I finally found something that feels right because as somebody who was a creative service provider before as well, I was a graphic designer and photographer, a very
You
multidisciplinary
know,
person.
yeah.
Yeah, so I was feeling like super burnt out at one point of my business, or maybe for the last 3, 4 years, to be
Oh yeah.
honest.
We love to
And
punish ourselves,
so
creatives. It's what we do.
yeah, yeah, for sure. And so what I realized was like, I didn't want to burn my business to the ground. Like I've considered, going back to a 9 to 5 or a traditional job or even like the service industry because I've also done like the bartending, baristaing,
Yeah.
sandwich making. So I was like, how can I just not get rid of all of what I've worked hard for, such as like, I put so much time, energy, investments, like money into
Yes,
building my
literally.
graphic design business. So I was like, how can I switch this up? So I really dug deep into my vision of like why I'm actually building a business and my brand and really painted out that vision. And so when I was able to do that, then I was like, okay, like what is my zone of genius? And it's really like problem solving, communicating, being empathetic, and like trying to see things from a bird's eye view and like really helping people solve struggles that maybe they can't see for themselves. So that's kind of
Yeah.
where I'm at now. But yeah, super fun.
You honed in on the value you can provide, which
Hmm.
probably gives you a lot of guidance as to how you market yourself. And that's something that's not really easy for a lot of us to identify. I mean, I still struggle with that sometimes. It's like, yeah, I've got a podcast, but what's the value other than number of ears I could bring to
Hmm.
somebody's business? How was it that you were able to identify your value? Tell me about that process.
Yeah, that's a good question. I I feel like I have always been told like I just love how your brain works. You're such a jack of all trades. And at first you're like a jack of all trades, like master of none. Like why would anyone want to hire me if I'm not like a specialist or an expert in one field?
Hmm.
Though, as humans, we're so multidimensional and multi-passionate. And I feel like we've
Yes.
gone through so many different experiences and we develop these perspectives, whether they stay the same throughout our life or they change. And so, where I really dug deep was like, what are the many things that I can kind of have like micro focuses in? And that really, I think, builds a standout brand when you're able to solve multiple problems on a deeper level than
Hmm.
just like a transaction. Like, you're going to pay me so you can save time, and I'm just going to do it and work by myself and then give it back to you. And then whether you use it or not, that's up to you. It kind of gets a lot deeper than just that when you're zoning in on like what you're really good at and like how you, I guess, like present your zone of genius instead of your zone of excellence. That's something that I talk a lot about with my clients. And at the end of the day, my perspective is that anyone can go on YouTube and learn a skill like design or copywriting. Anyone could go to like a school or get taught something, self-teach them something, but like what makes you actually different than those people? There's like billions of designers, billions of photographers. So like how are you different? And it's really like your brain and like how you grew up and your values and how you see the world and what you want to help people do.
Yeah, you put out a reel that painted a nice picture of that. I mean, almost literally, because it's the one where you're working on a car, but you've got captions, you've got captions popping up, essentially speaking to that concept. Like we're multi-dimensional beings. Don't be afraid to tap into X, Y, and Z because you
Mhm.
don't know who might find that relevant in your life.
Exactly.
And also at the same time, when you're tapping into those things, you're nurturing yourself and you're doing
Hmm.
something that feels authentic to you. I love, love, love that idea. Why, when you're not in business mode, what else do you like to do?
Oh my gosh. I feel like over the years, I've really gotten cozy with just being kind of a homebody, gaming, like going camping, and just finding things that kind of get me out of that hustle mindset because before I would work like 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. or earlier than that
Yeah.
and later than that. And so before the pandemic kind of like like released itself to us and caused chaos, I was really like pinching pennies to pay my rent in Chicago as like a server and a barista. I did some freelancing as well. But luckily, I am very grateful for having a home and a family that accepts me here and, like, is providing me a home to save money to buy a house and all of that stuff. So, yeah, I've just been really into just like kind of tapping into my creativity without having to monetize it this time. Like I thought that I had to build a business off of my skills, so photography and design. And now, if I want to tap into that and like really just be authentically myself and creative, I don't have to have that pressure of like, is somebody going to buy this? Is somebody going to like it? Because even when you do work for somebody and you're designing or taking their photo, like their opinion really matters. And even though you might think that it looks really awesome and like you're really passionate about it, they might not think the same thing. So, yeah, just like some cozy vibes over here.
Well, how do you handle those moments when it does get tough?
Ooh, yeah. When I think I'm pretty used to criticism. It's hard to not
Mhm.
care, of course. Like we're human, we have emotions. And I think, especially as creatives and artists, we
Yeah.
tie our value a lot to our artwork and like our projects. Though when you're like in the like for me, I used to have some pretty bad people pleasing tendencies. So I think maybe that has
Same.
helped a little bit. So I'm just like, yeah, we'll just do whatever you want. But then I guess like lowering my credibility or expertise in a way by not standing up for the strategic plan that we've set out. And this is what
Mm.
we talked about, but now you're holding back and like wanting to change it.
There's a
So
difference in that. There's a difference
yeah.
between constructive criticism and totally switching things up. That's important.
Totally. Yeah, for sure. And I was in art school as well. So like there was a time when I was like, just experimenting and playing around with different classes and stuff. So I was in a painting class and I loved it. It was so fun. I love just multiple different types of art forms. But there was a time where I painted something and my painting teacher was like, this looks like it belongs in TJ Maxx. And I was
Oh,
like, no.
oh
But
my.
it was kind of silly. Like I was joking. It was like a jokey joking around thing, but I could only imagine if I was a painter and I was really trying to build that career, it probably would have been like a stab in the heart.
Yeah, it would have been crushing and the shade to
Yeah.
TJ Maxx. Listen, sometimes we're on a TJ Maxx budget. Okay.
Yes, yes. And I love TJ Maxx. It's so nice.
So you have been very transparent about the fact that entrepreneurship is not easy, but it does get easier when you do set some boundaries and mind your schedule. You talked a
Yes.
little bit about, especially recently, building your brand around your life. What,
hmm
how did you do that? What does that look like for you so we can learn?
Yeah, and I think that that comes back to really like sitting with yourself and giving yourself some time to think about why you're actually building a brand and why you're actually building a business. I don't know if it's obvious to your listeners, but building a brand and building a business is completely different. Those are two different things.
Yeah.
And people who work like 9 to 5s or go work any sort of service job or whatever it is, like you're also kind of building a personal brand based on your values and your style, your personality and passions. And so building a business then is like, the operations, the offers, the sales, marketing, all of the jumbled up things that we don't see when we work for somebody else. So you're wearing like all the hats. And so if you're a one person business owner, you are doing it all. And that can be very stressful and overwhelming. And you feel like
Mhm.
there's no time in the day ever. And so what I realized was that was causing me a lot of overwhelm. And so when I went back into my vision, big picture, like what I actually wanted my life to look like, because at one point I wanted to buy land and have a homestead with my partner and my dog and my cats and like
Yeah.
just have a chill, like present life. But when I'm also in the hustle and grind all the time, that how is that going to happen? Um, and it also just, I felt it physically that I was burnt out and overwhelmed as well with client work and yada, yada, yada. I felt like my clients at the time, and there's no shade to my clients, but they were looking at me like employees, not an expert.
Oh, okay. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. So I was like really on this hamster wheel. And so what I really wanted in my life was just slowness,
Ugh.
calm, being
Pace.
present. Yes. And I didn't want to, I've made a reel about this as well and have talked to people about it. It's like, I don't want to open my eyes at 60 years old and wish I did something different. I don't want
Mm.
to have any sort of health problems because of the stress or anxiety that I've built over the years. And so, what better time to restructure some things to focus on your life or have some sort of like ease and balance is, this is the best time to do it, especially as a baby business owner, because they say, sometimes it takes 5, 10 years for your business to really
Well, just
pick
set the
up.
ground rules now. I mean, that's how
Yeah.
I would interpret it, setting the ground rules, setting the boundaries in the very beginning
Mm-hmm.
so that there's no question as you move
Yeah.
forward.
Yeah. And so, like, my offers, I was doing a lot of done for you services like graphic design. I did website design, logo design, photography, social media, copywriting. It's like I was a studio, but I was only one person and I was only
Yeah.
getting paid for one job. So, there wasn't really an incentive to that. And then, of course, like the long hours. So, I basically just got really specific and simplified. And this doesn't mean like I niche down or anything, which is really interesting because people do say, got to niche down. But what I
Yeah.
did was focus on like 4 different things and really like I wanted to get visibility and build a creator brand because then I can put content creation at the forefront and then have those offers that are, digital products or consulting or a group
Mhm.
program or something like that that then could work for me essentially and I can just focus on my brand and like connect with my community.
Yeah, I've heard those described as pillars before.
hmm
Like you're identifiable, tangible things that you can look at and say, I know that I do X, Y, and Z.
Mm-hmm.
And this is going to be my guide for any
Right.
type of business move or decision or even creative decision that I
Mm-hmm.
make. It has to fall in line with whatever those pillars are. My audience is going to look to me to expect pillar X, Y, and Z. And I'm going to try
Yes.
and stay firm on that. That's how I have heard it referred to.
Yes, for sure. And for my I went through a soft pivot. I didn't burn my business to the ground. So I went from a burnt out and overwhelmed creative service provider, providing as many skills and services that I could.
Oh
And
boy.
the end goal is to build a B2B creator brand. So B2B creator brand, I think of like Jay Klaus, Justin Welsh, um, Tori Dunlap from her first 100K. They build these like big social media presences, but they also have like diversified income streams, maybe around like
Mm,
7 to 12 different. Another one would be like JT Barnett. And so they're not necessarily selling a service like you're going to give me a task and I'm going to go do it and then you're going to pay me. They already have built these productized offers that are sold through their marketing and their content.
yeah.
And so how I see my offers is like if I'm helping people do the same thing that I'm doing, then there are multiple different stages throughout this soft pivot journey. And I build offers for each step of that phase. So if one person starts at I'm a burnt out service provider and I want to gain more time in my business, then they're going to go from my entry level offer to my signature group program soft pivot. And then after that, I can help them as well build their personal brand after their pivot and like step into that creator brand persona.
What is your social media origin story?
Ooh. So I don't want to go too like rambly because I could probably go for hours
That's
because
okay.
I just remember when I was, oh my gosh, I don't remember when YouTube specifically came out, but I remember like Yahoo Music and all that stuff. I would
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
be like a little kid, like watching music videos. I played like those little like virtual games and stuff like that. Club Penguin, like that was like the first start.
Yes.
But then when I started to see my older friends have like Xanga and MySpace
I
and
remember that.
kind of like the grandfather Facebook type platforms. I was like, I want that too. But then my mom found out and she got pretty mad at me because, like the internet was still pretty new, I would say. I don't know, like maybe with those platforms they were, and I was just a kid. And so they were
Right.
being cautious. But I remember me and my friends, we made like a video because we really wanted to post it on YouTube. And it was just like some silly video. We were probably like 12, like making music videos or something. And we went on a walk while it was uploading. My mom found it and she was like, "You can't have that." No.
Ooh. Oh
Yeah.
boy.
So I was like always interested in creating, like making music videos, taking photos and all of that stuff. And I wanted people to see it. And so I think my first platform was Facebook in like middle school, like eighth grade maybe. And I like
Mhm.
finally got my mom to say yes. And then growing up into high school, that's I think when Instagram might have gotten big. And throughout college, I did the 365 photo challenge.
Yep.
I started to vlog my experience in Chicago, which all of those videos are private because they're irrelevant now. And, but it does make me wish that I, of course, like kept them public because who knows, they could have hit 1 million views.
Yeah, or it's just fun to look back on. I mean, I've had those
Right.
experiences too, where it's like, oh yeah, I did post that, and you'll randomly scroll and see it, and you're
Yeah.
like, oh wait, that was me, and that was fun. But
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and like I think it was yeah, during kind of like the pandemic and well, it was probably before the pandemic that I was starting to just like share my art and like see if people wanted to buy it and like share that I was like I was in a an art exhibit for women's reproductive health rights and stuff. So like if people bought your art, then that would go to the
Mhm.
foundation or whatever. So that was really cool. And I thought I was just going to sell prints and make a digital shop and stuff like that. Like I've done it all. And I would share that on social media. And then the pandemic. And then I started my business as a virtual assistant and then brand design and Instagram really helped me get my first clients. So yeah, it's super powerful. It's fun
It
too.
is. It is. And it plays with your mind a little bit sometimes too. Like I am guilty of falling for the comparison game. I'm
Mm.
sure, I think all of us have. How do you avoid that?
Yeah, I recently went through a muting phase and I before like I think I don't know if it was like my ego or something. I was just like, I'm strong. Like I don't need to mute people. I don't need to unfollow people. Like I like them, but they're doing similar things as me. So of course I would compare myself to them, but in not in a physical way, but like how I was running my business or like the
Yeah.
people who I was working with. And so recently I went through a muting phase, but I think it was because I was kind of influenced to do it as well, because I was
Mm,
in a course all about personal branding. And at this stage of my soft pivot of becoming a B2B creator brand, I'm really trying to rediscover myself. I thought it was a reinvention, but it's a rediscover. And yeah, just how the course creator was talking, she was just very direct. And I was like, wow, I think I need a coach like this or a therapist or something to just like tell me, like, you need to do this, like, stop
period.
like messing around. So I did that. And what's nice is that I can choose when I want to look at people's content. But as for, I know some people really get down in the rabbit hole of comparison and doom scrolling and stuff like that. And like sometimes I think it's just like a normal human thing to do.
Yeah.
But if it wasn't for social media, would we have been doing it so much? So
Probably
I,
not. I mean, I think we
yeah.
would have because we did it when we were in elementary school.
Hmm.
That girl has curly hair. I have straight hair. I want curly hair. Or,
Yeah.
we did it again and we did it then. We didn't need social media apps to do it. I just think
Yes.
social media was kind of another outlet for what we were already doing as humans.
Right. It's like comparison in a different font.
Yeah, it literally.
Yes.
So, what is next for you? What's coming in over the next year or so? What can we look forward to?
Yeah, so I just started my own podcast, Dear Creator, and it's
Fun.
yeah, I really wanted to tell you that today because I feel like you and like many other podcasters have really influenced me and like just shown me that it's possible to create a podcast. And I
It
love your
is.
format as well of just like having conversations with people. I'm a generator in human design. I don't know if you know anything about that, but
No.
I essentially get a lot of energy from conversation. And
Mhm.
so I was like, maybe this is something that I can try a new content format. I tried TikTok and for some reason I'm just like pulled to delete it. So,
Not your favorite thing. That's okay too.
right. And so I'm trying some conversations and I'll be doing some solo episodes on there. And essentially, it's just the vibe of, if you were sending a friend a voice note or doing like morning pages, I want to provide a safe space for people to speak like, like share their perspective about like their industry or
Yeah.
something that they've learned. And I'm also building my group program Soft Pivot. So the first step of the pivot to becoming a B2B creator brand is gaining more time flexibility in your schedule and stepping into your expertise. And so how we do that is transition a done for you service that has been very time sucking and maybe it's booked out or whether or not you like to do it or not, you just thought that you had to. And we transition that into a four-figure done with you offer that you can eventually scale in within like 90 days. So that's a group program and it's really fun. We do like coaching and there's a community and stuff. So that's what I'm currently working on and just thinking of like other ways that I can help service providers not feel so stuck and like in Tinkertown, like I don't
Yeah.
know what I should do next or what direction to take.
I think that is a big part of Tinkertown, what you're talking about. I think that is a big part of what people get hung up on because I get that question all the time because sometimes some people know that I used to do radio and they go, well, of course you're going to be a podcaster. You already know what to do. Blah, 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 blah. And it's like, skirt. Listen, podcasting is a completely different animal than
Hmm.
terrestrial, traditional radio in America. It is not the same thing. Biggest difference is you have way less creative freedom. You have to be a lot more concise with what you're saying and how you're saying it and phrasing that you're using. On a podcast, no one cares at all.
You could
No
really
one
be
cares.
yourself.
You can be as long-winded or as short-winded as you want to be.
Yeah, and I love that because I feel like a it's a type of content form that you can really show off who you are. I think we hold back sometimes when it
Yeah,
comes to like short form. So, yeah, it's really awesome that people like you have these platforms to allow people to speak and like share with the world what they've been tinkering
that's
around in.
that's all I wanted. That's what I wanted to do in radio. And that's what I did do at my college radio station. And then
Yeah,
I found out when I got into the industry, I was like, oh, okay, this is not
it's not the
we're
same.
done. It's a completely different animal. They don't pay you. There is a vast amount, an immense
Hmm.
amount of misogyny and
Oh
chauvinism
no.
and ego. I mean, I've been in meetings where men at a conference room have said, "We have two women, we don't need more." Like
Oh my
it's,
God.
I mean, yeah, legit. I used to have to sit there and pretend I was okay hearing those things. So
Hmm.
when I made the conscious choice to that burned me out over. I mean,
Right.
I was a dumbass because I stayed in that for like 7.5 years, and I will own that
Oh.
part. I was like, I should not have been doing that long, but I'm glad that I took the time to do it at all because I think I would have regretted it if I had never tried. I would have
Hmm.
looked back on that and been like, Val, why did you never actually fully go for that dream? So I'm glad that I did it. But the nice thing about podcasting is back to, technology, and I know some folks are intimidated by that. It's really not that deep. Like it's not that
Right.
difficult. You can be a one-man band and do this, and you don't need to be a professional broadcaster or even have a broadcast background to do it. There are literally free editing programs. One of them
Hmm.
is Audacity. You can use that.
Yeah.
You can download it. Ta-da! That's basic editing 101, cutting clips and putting them together. That's it. And that's free. And it doesn't have to
Hmm.
break the bank either. There are tons of USB plug-in mics that you can
Right.
choose from that just plug right into your computer. And guess what? Beep, alert pops on your computer and it's connected. Like it doesn't, I know that it can be intimidating, but it doesn't have to be that serious. That's
Right.
something that I wish I could tell people like that are thinking about maybe getting into podcasting is
Right.
that you can do it and you can do it as one person. It's not always easy, but it is certainly possible. You could do a lot as one
Hmm.
person with the amount of technology that is out there today. I'm sure
For
you've seen that too.
sure. Yeah, I think a lot of people are afraid of being seen, are afraid like being seen for who they truly are sometimes.
Mm,
And I think they're afraid of not having things perfect when messy action like is the best way to start because if you don't try something, how are you supposed to know you'll like it? And
right.
also these are skills that we're learning. I this year personally, I've really focused on speaking and talking to people, really slowing down because sometimes I'll speak too fast and forget exactly what I was about to say.
I need to take
But
that course too, honestly.
yes, we should make one together.
Woohoo!
Um, but yeah, it's that whole perspective, it's for everything. It's like if you're thinking about doing something, just fucking do it. Like
Period.
what what you're not gonna die unless obviously like skydiving is a little sketch, but like starting a
Yeah,
podcast, like come on, like just
you're fine.
do it.
It won't kill you. It won't.
Yes.
It literally won't. And you might find that it's hell of a lot of fun. That is the number one
Hmm.
comment that I get after I have spoken with somebody is that they had a lot of fun. And I'm like,
Yes.
see, you wouldn't have had that fun half hour in your day if you didn't just
Right?
decide, bye bye, anxiety for a little bit. Let's put you
Yeah.
away for a few seconds. Like I get it. I take medication for anxiety and depression too. I am an anxiety girly. I get it. However, we
Hmm.
can a quarter once in a while
Yeah.
and like and just say, okay, maybe not right now. Let's see what happens when we try this. And I love that spirit about you. I can't wait to see what's next, Morgan. I'm inspired. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.